Welcome to Chugging Along. I'm Sam.
And I'm Tim.
And welcome to our video and to our channel.
So yeah, thank you to everybody who participated in our Narrowboat live stream quiz and Q&A at the weekend. We had a great time doing it, being the quiz masters. Here's some examples of the questions. So one of them was, what canal is the Bollington Aqueduct on? Another one is, how many locks are on the Cane Hill flight on the Kennet and Avon? And the questions about the vloggers, we had, what year did Cruising the Cut upload his first vlog? So if you know some of the answers to those, then maybe you'll do quite well next time.
With all competitions and quizzes, obviously there was a winner, and our winners were Judith and Dave. So congratulations to Judith and Dave. They actually did really well.
Yeah.
They stayed top of the table, top of the leaderboard throughout most of the quiz, which I think is astounding, really. So well done. Chugging Along winner's cushion is on its way in the post to you.
One of the power couples, weren't they?
They were one of our power couples, absolutely.
If you like cushions that are personalised and a memento of your victory, then maybe you will want to join the next Chugging Along Narrowboat live streaming quiz Q&A, and we're planning on doing that on Saturday the 17th of April. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. So then, Sam, what is this video about?
Well, one of the great things about living on a narrowboat is all the outdoor space that we have. We've got towpaths, surrounding areas, and now that spring has finally sprung, we really have a chance to actually exploit it and use it, which is great. But it got us thinking, actually, about what it would look like if you had a narrowboat and a garden. And the idea of having the best of both worlds. If you're someone who's really into outdoor spaces and gardening, what that would actually look like. So that's what we're going to explore today.
So it's actually possible in multiple ways to have a narrowboat and a garden. The first one, the way to do it, is to have a sort of long-term mooring that has a bit of garden next to it, and you can sort of create a garden in that space. Another way that you can do it, which we've seen quite a lot and we think is really cool, is the way that you have a continuous cruiser who has turned the roof and the bow and the stern into their boat into a garden with all the flower pots and growing vegetables and everything like that. And in summer they can look absolutely amazing, can't they? I think
like floating jungles.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it is really cool. Another way that you can do it, which is, I would say, is the most premium way that you could do it, which is have an end of garden mooring. So you've got a house, you've got a garden that happens to be right next to the canal, and then you have a narrowboat at the bottom of your garden. Wow, that is amazing. And another way that we saw it, we've seen it in Reading actually, didn't we? It's someone had the shell of a narrowboat, so they took the engine out, they had the shell of a narrowboat and turned that into sort of like an outside office space, and it was sort of in the garden. Their garden did actually face the canal, so the boat was looking at the canal. But yeah, I thought that was really cool, just using the shell of a narrow. I thought it was good.
I think it was a great example of upcycling. You know, you've got your shell. It could have been their original narrowboat and it was no longer in use, or maybe they didn't want to part with it, and they just took the shell, popped it in their garden.
I know. Just imagine if we got a house and then we managed to, and then we had a garden and we craned Marielle into the garden.
Well, that'd be a pretty big garden, I think.
I know, but that would be so good. So then we never had to get rid of Marielle. That would be so cool.
I think she'd like that.
And we could dig a big pond as well. Anyway,
we digress.
Yeah.
Another reason actually why we thought about making this video is because we recently came across a narrowboater who actually has his own garden. So his name is Colin, and he also happens to be a YouTuber as well, and he's on this stretch of the Kennet and Avon where we are, and as we go past his narrowboat to go to the facilities, we've seen his garden, and us being the curious types, we wanted to ask some questions about it. So he was really nice to actually answer those questions and even to give us a little bit of a tour of his garden actually.
That's right. So we're going to try something different, or a little bit different with today's video, and start this new series, or maybe it will develop into a series called Canal Lives, where we speak to people that live in interesting and different ways on the system. So now let's go over to this socially distanced and outside interview with a very professional journalist.
Who was that then?
Oh, I don't know. He's too professional to give his name out, actually.
Oh, right. Ooh. Yeah. Man of mystery, I think.
I would say. Yeah.
Well, my name's Colin Jakes. Some people might know me from my own channel that I got, Colin Jakes Narrowboat Build, which that's how it all started off for me. Like, you know, I'll give you a little bit about how it started. Was that back in 2017, a partner Cindy and we took a couple of little narrowboat holidays, just short weekend breaks or midweek breaks, and by the time we'd had the third one, we thought actually we really like this. We're gonna have some of this. End of that 17, we started looking at second-hand boats and that, and you know, me being a joiner and quite a perfectionist at times, I thought, well, actually there's nothing that really appeals to me because I'm gonna have to strip everything out and start again. So we had a shell built in late 2017, had the boat delivered to Debdale Wharf Marina for January 2018, and on the 2nd of January I got on board to a bare metal shell with the engine put in it and spent 9 months fitting it out. And you know, if people want to see my videos, you know, that they're out there and you can see the whole thing from start to finish. We've done a lot of canals and we've done a lot of travelling. Last year we ended up on the Shropshire Union, ended up to Llangollen, and then we came all the way back down to Grand Union, down into London, then up the Thames to get to where we are now. Like, and then just having a look on Canal Riverside website, and I noticed this mooring, so we jumped on it on a buy it now and bought it for a year. So although it's a leisure mooring, you know, so you're not supposed to live here permanent, which we wouldn't live here permanent because we'll be going off travelling, or we go other places. Well, obviously when the lockdown lifts, we can go and stay with other people. Like, we got the boat, we got the lovely walks for the dogs, a little bit of a garden, like, you know, and all the passers-by, the walkers, and people say, wow, this is looking really nice, you know, it's sort of improving the area, like, you know. You know, it gets me out of Cindy's feet when she's on the boat. We have our own little space. I come out in the garden with the dogs and have a little mess about out here. I think we've got the best of both worlds, to be perfectly honest. You know, if we've got a floating home, if we want to sort of move on whenever we can do. And then we've also got a winter base to come back to if we want to. I know that if you travel around the system, and we've only travelled perhaps a third of the system, but everywhere you go you see little enclaves of canal boats and gardens. Some are on the towpath gardens where, you know, there's all stuff along the side of the boats and that, flowers and that, and you know, there's all manner of variations, like, you know. Marina moorings are fine, like, if you want, you know, as I say, I was very apprehensive going in the marina mooring to start with when we first went in one, but in actual fact it is okay, but it's not for me. I prefer being either out on the cut in the middle of nowhere, or again, now this is the first obviously CRT mooring that we've had, inline mooring or whatever they call them, and it's a perfect spot for us. You know, we've done nearly 2 years out there continuously cruising, and it's just nice to stay put for a while, like, you know. I definitely prefer living in the boat. You know, I lived in a shepherd's hut for a while as well, shepherd's hut which I built at one time. Before that I've lived in a van as well and camped on the cliff tops and various places, and people used to think it's a hardship, but there's no hardship living in a van, just like there's no hardship living in a boat. Like, it's just people's what they, you know, how they see things. But I've got no desire, you know, if I go and stay in somebody's house within the first couple of days, I'm itching to get back to the boat. The garden that I've created, this was all solid overgrown blackberry bushes right the way down through here, and apparently years ago it was all grass area, but it just got left to go to rack and ruin, not maintained. And you know, I put the little fence up just to keep the dogs contained so they don't annoy people.
Yep.
Put a little shed up, just a small shed for tools and that, and as I say, you can see I've got plants. Everything's in pots because, you know, you never know how long we're staying for. Nice to have the bench here so we can have a little sit down here, which is so idyllic to sit here and, you know, talk to passers by, and people say, oh, well, lovely garden you've created. Yeah, dogs like it out here, sit and have a morning coffee out here.
Lovely.
So yeah, this bit here we're going to put some wild meadow seed down there. I've got another patch up the end there we've done meadow seed on. Yeah, greenhouse I've made up. That was just made up out of fallen trees that I found along the canal side. Then used a piece of pallet wrap, roll of pallet wrap to make the greenhouse. I've got a few things growing now.
Very nice. And how about this thing here we got down?
Oh, this is what I made this for the dogs. Teddy likes to stand and he looks at and has a look at the horses in the field there. Yeah, that's Teddy and the other one's Dotty. That's Dotty down there. They both jockey for position on there. Yeah, and I've got various containers. A lot of these containers I've found over at the recycling point over by the CRT skip, and I've made planters. We've got the shingle down here, so it's because the ground under here it's not good ground under here. It's all made up rough ground, so you couldn't plant into it. So I've made all these tubs. That's an old tumble dryer tub.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's out of a tumble dryer. That's a folding chair frame. Some stuff, most of these are all got seeds in now. We've got the compost tumbler down there as well. And then that little corner bit we've got with some meadow seeds and grass in. And then the fence is just rustic fence made again out of fallen sticks. And then say greenhouse in there. And I've got a little worm composter there I made for something to do as well. A few potatoes growing. And that's really that Dotty's on the
Oh yeah, we'll get a shot of that.
They like the camera as well. Teddy, you going to come up as well? Come on, you come up here and show off as well. Yes, that's Dotty and Teddy.
And that's an old bar, old tin bath.
Yeah, that's an old bath. That was 99p off eBay. The bottom had gone in it. I went to this big fancy house and gave them 99 pence for an old tin bath.
What, £1 and a penny change?
Yeah. And I had to put a new bottom in it, and there we go.
Great.
So yeah, as you can see, idyllic spot. So nice to be here, nice to go away cruising, but also a very nice place to know you can come back to. Well, apparently, as I say, I think I mentioned earlier that I spoke to the guy and said, yeah, crack on. Of course, nearly, 5 months later, there's now been letters sent out to the moorers here, basically to get rid of everything off the site because, you know, I've been told that you're not supposed to have any of this. So I've now got a bit deflated because basically CRT have told us to move everything off. It's not allowed. Hedgerows have been ripped up, but there's no hedgerows here. This was overgrown brambles that I've cleared off the site. It's not just me, my neighbour's been told to get rid of all their stuff as well, and various other moorers that have got odd bits and pieces. And as you can see, it's all, to me, I've enhanced the area, but apparently it's not an enhancement. So if we don't basically do as we're told, well then we're in breach of our mooring conditions, and we could lose the mooring. Even with it cleared, this space is going to be here, so I can still come and bring my chair out here and sit here. It's just that there won't be the shed, I won't be able to grow any vegetables. I can put everything on the boat, they told me, but I've got a bit too much stuff to go on the boat now, so I'll probably start growing a few things on the boat and clear all this up if that's what they say. But I can be sort of quite, I don't know, my mood swings can go various ways. I could go into a total depression about it, or I might try and find a positive, but something good will come out of it at the end of the day. All these things come along in life, and you just take it head on and see where we end up. You know, as I say, I don't have a problem not having a mooring, like, you know, but it's been convenient to have one for the winter. Although in saying that, with COVID, I wouldn't have had to pay for a mooring if I hadn't have had one. You've been, you know, luckily for a lot of continuous cruisers, because of COVID, they've been able to stay in one place, like, you know. Hopefully I'll die on the boat, like, you know. Perhaps I could make myself a narrowboat shaped coffin, like, you know, to send me off in. I've got lots of fond memories of wherever we've been on the canal, and it's definitely the life for me. And also the dogs love it here as well. They don't know any different because they're both youngsters, and they're both good fun to be with. Teddy, Doffy, in. Come on. Hey, come on, in. Come on.
Thank you very much for watching that interview there. So Sam, what was your favourite part, do you reckon, of Colin's garden?
Oh, I think my favourite feature had to be his greenhouse. The reason why is because, I mean, I'm not an expert in terms of how much greenhouse actually costs, but I imagine they cost quite a bit to construct and put together. And I think what he did was really impressive. And it was quite genius, actually. It worked. Just, you know, branches, twigs, some plastic wrap to put it together. I mean, a lot of architectural work went into sort of maintaining that structure, and you could see that. But I thought it was a brilliant idea, and it does the job. Keeps everything hot inside. So, yeah, that was my favourite. What about yours?
Yeah, I would say that my favourite also involves twigs as well.
Right, okay.
And it was the dash hound lookout that he created, so the dogs could go up and have a look and have a look at those fields of horses there, and they could plan. If the horses ever did attack the dash hounds, they would know about it before, and they could plan and they could hold off and hopefully win that battle. I think
they can nip at the hooves.
They can. They're definitely loud. They were definitely louder, weren't they?
Oh, they were much louder than the horses. More intimidating? Don't know.
Definitely, yeah.
So, having watched the interview, what would you say was your favourite feature in Colin's garden? Leave your comment in the comment section below and let us know. I've actually got another question though I want to ask you, Tim.
Yeah.
So, considering that Colin also fitted out his narrowboat, because that's another passion project of his, what would you say you would prefer to do? Fit out a narrowboat, or start a garden from scratch to Chelsea Flower Show?
Yes, no, I see what you mean. I would definitely rather fit out a narrowboat, I think, even though I don't have any skills to do that at all. Yeah, I just think at this stage in my life, I don't have any interest in gardening at all, despite the fact I am actually quite good at it, because I did win a cushion actually last summer, didn't I?
You mean this one here?
This very cushion. I won this last year in a sunflower growing competition. It's a family thing that we have, and I won last year, and my mum gave me this cushion, and Sam was saying that would be a great thing to do for the quiz anyway. But there we go. So look, what I'm saying is I'm not a passionate gardener, but when I do it, I do it big. So
yeah, your sunflower was very big. I suspect there was some performance enhancing
items
there was. Involved.
I poured beer on it, I poured some tea on it, and yeah, definitely it was about 8 foot tall. It was amazing.
It's full of loads of stimulants. That's why mine didn't grow as tall. I just gave it water.
Yeah, well there you go. So yeah, I'm happy with that. But still, I'm not a keen gardener. I think maybe one day, I will be, but definitely not at the moment. And I'd rather do it. How about you?
Well, unfortunately, I wasn't blessed with green fingers. Otherwise, I would have won that sunflower competition. I didn't. I love gardens. I think they're a great place for a retreat to relax.
Yeah.
And I honestly, I take my cap off to anyone who can actually start a garden from scratch or even maintain a garden. But I think for me, I would prefer actually to maybe fit out a narrowboat. And the reason why is I think there'd be lots of skills that we could learn along the way that would be quite useful for us, even to transfer into onto land at whatever point or some point in the future.
Yeah.
Just some standard skills that way. Let us know if you've actually enjoyed watching this style of video as well, because we're hoping we can do more as we meet more people, more interesting characters on the canals. But for now, doesn't matter what you do in life, guys, you got to remember to
keep chugging.